Hello there, my fellow Steemians. We're back from SteemFest, and we got a chance to have a wonderful time, and now I want to share it with you. Gina and I put together this video with a lot of people on there and a lot of information that you're going to love about SteemFest 2 in Lisbon, Portugal. SteemFest 2 over there in Lisbon, Portugal, and I was honored to be a speaker and to be master of ceremonies for the second room, and I want to give you a recap of that. But what better way to do it than to not do it alone, but to bring in the lovely, charming, and talented Gina Carr, my partner, life partner, and business partner. Gina, thanks for joining me today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for your lovely comments.
Oh, well, you bet. Well, what did you think of SteemFest 2 in Lisbon?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was really amazing. I think the thing that surprised me the most was the number of countries represented. As I recall, they said there were 38 different countries represented. And so at any given time, you hear people speaking Japanese and Russian. Well, that was just you, but, you hear other people speaking.
Well, stumbling Russian, and stumbling Spanish. So I was able to do a little bit of that. It was a lot of fun to be able to introduce some of the folks that are working on the Cervantes project in Spanish. And then Allah's Yummy Food, who was speaking Russian, so I could say "Здравствуйте, как вы поживаете" in the Russian thing, and then "Cómo estás" over in Spanish, kind of going back and forth. But that's about it. We kind of reached the limit real fast on Terry's.
Yeah, I particularly love it when you find another person who does also speak Russian and English and Japanese, and you guys are just going between three different languages. That's
yes. So Alina from Russia, and hi Alina, if you're watching this, hope you're doing well. And she speaks Japanese and of course Russian and of course English. So it's like, wow, 3 languages, amazing there. So we could kind of converse back and forth on that. But it really was an international fest. And what we wanted to do for those of you watching this is to kind of go through some of the events, the people that were there, etc., to help you, and some actual videos as well. So what we can do is we can share that with you. What I want to do right now is I'm going to share my screen with you and go into that here. I want to share to let you see what's going on. We'll share the screen, and here we are in the presentation. Let's just go right on into my keynote slides here, where we have SteemFest 2, Lisbon, Portugal, creamy and delicious. Gina, you've worked a lot with food and items like that. Tell us why creamy and delicious was kind of a theme for this one.
Well, I'm not sure if it's all of Portugal, or certainly it's this area of Lisbon, or Lisbon is known for these little custard type pie pastries. Can't remember the exact name right now, pastry Nestal or something like that, but they look like kind of tiny puff quiches, a little bit like a little puff pie.
Yeah.
Tiny, small, about that big, and they are filled with this yummy custard stuff. So, they are quite delicious.
Yeah, they are. Well, so here we're going to circle this one here, the creamy and delicious. And I think you tried one of those. I might have tried one, but I think they were pretty good. The food, by the way, in Portugal was very good. So that's kind of nice. Right there. Okay, well, let's do this. By the way, before we go any farther, tell us about, I'm going to stop sharing screen here real quickly because I realized what we didn't do is we didn't talk about what is happening with our shirts that we've got here. The shirt that I've got here, this is the new logo for Steem. You'll see that right there. And Gina, you had the other shirt that they gave us. What is that one?
Yeah, this is the smart tokens. Let's see, I don't want to strip completely here, but these are called smart tokens, and it wasn't clear exactly what each of them is, but the concept is what's important. And the concept is smart tokens.
Yeah, smart media tokens, I think, too.
Smart media tokens, you're right. SMT, smart media tokens. And as I understand it, this is basically another wave. You might call it Internet 4.0, the monetization or the micro monetization of likes, where smart media tokens can be placed on regular websites, on different social media platforms, on things like Reddit, or on your own website for your own blog posts and comments, where people can upvote things. And the way it works in Steemit is when you get these upvotes, these likes, essentially, it can add a tiny bit or even more than a tiny bit, it'll add some money to your account. It basically pays you for what it likes. And so right now, as far as I know, that's not available on any other site on the internet. But with these smart media tokens pioneered by Steem, Steem the coin, Steem the website, they're going to be available throughout the internet, and that's the next big wave, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it looks good. The SMTs were a big part that Ned talked about, the CEO of Steemit, and pretty amazing stuff that's there. Well, let's go back here to the sharing the screen, and we'll go into that right now. So we see it was there in Lisbon, Portugal. It was our first time over there, and a wonderful place to be. I really enjoyed that. One thing I found interesting, when we were in Madrid on our way over, we were on the flight there flying Air Europa, and they pronounce it Lisboa, not Lisbon, as we do in America. I always thought you ought to pronounce it the way the folks that live there pronounce it, but that's neither here nor there. And we got a chance to see some wonderful people. That was really good. Here, start out with my buddy Kevin Wong from over in Malaysia. He's a marvelous guy. Hi, Kevin. Hope you're doing well on that. And also we got to see Dr. Craig here as Scan 0017. He was doing well. Had a little drink there in his hand, just a little one, drinking a bottle and staying healthy. And since he is a pharmacist, a real doctor and a pharmacist, he knows what he's doing. A great guy. Craig, hope you're doing well today. It was a beautiful scene there, looking out over Lisbon and the famous bridge there. And we were there at the place where they had the monastery, which is right there. There it is, an old monastery. They didn't build a new one, well, it was new when they built it, but now it's kind of old. So it's been around for a while, but beautiful scenery all around us where we were. And speaking of beautiful scenery, there's the beautiful and charming Gina Carr, who is outside the Sofia de Mello Brainer Anderson room. I think that's how you pronounce it, but probably, maybe it's not. But that was a room where I was doing my presentation. We saw the SteemFest is a sign there, and there I am outside the room where I was master of ceremonies, helping people to go through it, and the other side of the room there as we went to it. Now, one thing that we found out from Roland, he had a new word for us, juga. And juga is a word that, well, I didn't know what it means. And so I'm going to let you hear it. And matter of fact, let you see the opening ceremony, just a little bit of it, the opening ceremonies where Roland P., who is the master of ceremonies, the founder and the host for SteemFest, he had that to say. Here he is.
If you didn't find a seat, there are a couple of seats over there left over. Well, welcome. It's been a rush also here. I learned a new word yesterday. It's called juga. It's Hindi, and it means make it work somehow.
I like that, and I think we can relate to that. Make it work somehow, juga. So that became kind of a phrase that we used a lot. Real handy there, and Roland did a great job.
That's what we've been doing the past 48 hours for sure. And when we've got a totem pole there with the lettering and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into details. But you know what's funny? Last week there were 200 tickets sold. It was really cool. I was really happy because we reached the Amsterdam target. So I was shooting back and saying to my girlfriend, hey, let's go.
And what Roland's saying there is that there is 200 sold last week, and then the next week, another 100. So we went up to 300 people. It was really amazing. And then Ned talked about it as well. He talked to us. Ned, of course, this is Ned Scott, the CEO of Steemit, and he told us why Steem is huge.
It's something I can describe in one word. It's you guys, or you, I should say. It's you. You go out there and you're bringing the passion and the interest to the project. You're bringing the value to the project. Everything that you guys do is what matters. The technology is just a vehicle for you, for us, and all that. So, going out there, starting meetups, building things, writing things, interacting with people, this is what matters. And so I can't thank you guys enough for what you've already done, and I'm looking forward so much to what you're going to do over the
Okay, well, he was great, and that we're going to have some more as well. But here's what happened in room 2, which I'm focusing on because, hey, I was the MC there, and we had some wonderful people. What you want to do is go back and watch the videos of this. There was a lot of video shot, much of it streaming, and it's now available on YouTube. These people here, you can see as we look here. Matter of fact, let me use my annotation here for a moment and highlight that right here. We've got Jex Blackmore was there, very good about freedom of speech. And then we had the ladies from Russia, wonderful ladies here that talked about a new system that's coming out for women. We had Shaq here, as well as a lot of very interesting people here. I like Xanax, my buddy from Russia. Здравствуйте, как вы поживаете? So I can tell him a little phrase there in Russian and find out how he's doing. Steam Roland was June from out in California. Alex had some amazing things I'm going to talk about in just a moment. A way for you to get tickets without paying those high prices that normally are associated when you're buying tickets to an event. Very good. Starkez had some amazing things he's doing in college campuses around the world. And Terry Brock and Gina Carr. Actually, I got to put a star there. You have to excuse me for a moment. We'll put a star there because that was us talking about creating content and putting that together. Gina, could you give us a quick 30-second description of why that's important and what you talked about of creating content and what you talked about in a specific area of sharing your communities and building those communities as well? What was that you mentioned during that?
Well, as other websites, Steemit specifically is, essentially a big blog with a lot of content. And so, how do you find people who are talking about what you want to talk about? How do you organize it? And so there are different communities that are organized on Steem. But another way, and a way that I think is actually quite effective, is to organize on Facebook in Facebook groups and say, create a group like I'm going to create Steemit, Vegans of Steemit. And some people have, I think there's, different groups for different geographical areas, Russians of Steemit and, people from, I forgot some of the other places, but, or different interest groups. So,
yeah.
Filmmakers on Steemit. And so you can organize and converse better right now in Facebook, and you can converse about the posts that you're doing back on Steemit. So, and share the post, and because right now, Steemit's still in its infancy, and Facebook is much more mature, and the group functionality is very powerful. So it's real easy to say, hey, I just posted something about a vegan version of the creamy and delicious pastry from Portugal. Go check it out. And if I post that in a Facebook group to my vegan friends, they're likely to go over there, click like, comment on it. And then similarly, they can do that when they do their posts, and we can have discussions in Facebook to go back and interact on Steemit. So it may seem a little convoluted, but actually based on the functionality that exists now in Steemit, I think it's a good workaround.
Yeah, it sounds good. And so that's an idea of combining, take Facebook and Steemit and put the two together. We're seeing a lot of that happen. And it's something that you'll want to continue to do, those of you that are watching this, and make sure that you stay with that. So I would encourage
did you want to address quickly what you talked about, which was, creating the content?
Yeah, the creation of the content, which we won't have time to go into right here, but we'll talk about more. And of course, I've done it a lot more in other videos too. And I think after this video, we'll want to go back and address those even more. So be sure and check that out as we go through it. There's some other folks that we got a chance to see. That Marco, wonderful guy, and he's bouncing around the world as a perpetual traveler, having a great time, living a life of liberty and freedom. Alex Lindbrink is the CEO of Passage X. Write that down. Those of you who are writing this, or that are watching this, write that down, because he has some really good ideas, and their company gives the ability to get tickets rather than going through some of the very large ticket control agencies, and being able to get it much faster using blockchain technology. They're doing that right
faster and without the big fees, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, without all the fees, exactly. It's Alex Lindbrink. Here's the CEO of Passage X, and also Douglas Drouillard. Douglas, you're going to have to excuse me for mispronouncing your name there, but he's a blockchain expert also working on this. And I was very impressed with what they're doing. A couple of folks from Michigan, their company's based there in Michigan, and doing a lot of good work there. And of course, the always charming and delightful Sterling Lujan was there. He was helping us in many different ways and cutting up and having a good time. Sterling, always good to have you joining us for many good activities. And
excuse me, just quickly though, for those who don't know, Sterling is the ambassador for the brand ambassador for Bitcoin.com. So he's become quite a good friend of ours recently.
yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, so he's sharing the good news of not only Bitcoin, but Bitcoin Cash as well, which could be called Bitcoin by itself a little bit later, but that's a whole nother story. But a really good person. And then, of course, the always charming and delightful Jerry Banfield. They're showing us now what it is when you have a carrot on your chest. That's the little carrot thing like that. And he did a good job. And I got a chance to get a picture with these two wonderful guys, two good buddies of mine, and just really appreciate both of you guys. Thanks for all the good that you continue to share with the world there. And how cool is this, Gina? We're there in Lisbon. It's a magical time. It's just perfect. And right over the bridge there comes up the full moon. Is that cool or what?
It was amazing. And it reminds me of some other special times and special places we've had around the world where just such a nice surprise. Again, you just look around and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a beautiful full moon right here. So yeah, that was at one of the many wonderful social events that SteemFest, Roland and the whales and the various sponsors provided. There was a lot of food and drink flowing at this entire event. They definitely kept us well fed and well imbibed. And so this was an outdoor terrace party. And, just as we were heading into another wonderful dinner, they really did this event right. It was,
yep.
I'm sure we're going to be encouraging people to go to the SteemFest 3 next year. So that's the first plug I'll make for it.
Yes, indeed. So it was a wonderful time there. And here's some more pictures of that evening. Just one of those perfect evenings. A lovely couple there. They look very familiar. And we got a chance to look out and see the beautiful scenery of Lisbon. Really nice there. Now, there was also a session I encourage you to look into with John Gerlach. John, who goes by Lazy 3R. He's one of the programmers and talked about using Python and what that is doing now with, or PHP, excuse me, not Python, it was PHP. John, you have to excuse me on that. PHP with Steemit and how they're using it. For those of you technically minded, that would be real good. And Sergey, wonderful, he's with Golos, which is the Russian version of Steemit. And Golos means voice in Russian. Brilliant man, very kind, and helping a lot of people on that. Got a picture there with his eyes closed. So he does close his eyes when he blinks. I've noticed that. Just messing with you, Sergey. But Sergey here really had a good presentation. I want to hear about that. And speaking of Russian-speaking people, there were some wonderful people there. Alice from Alice's Yummy Food talked about some things, and also Ivar Goreko was there. He was talking about, well, how to take care of her and how they're growing their own businesses using Steemit. Two wonderful people. I encourage you strongly to look into Alice's Yummy Food, what she has to say, and particularly the presentation she had.
And Ala really got her start on YouTube. She had a fantastic presence on YouTube, and she's smartly parlayed that into a good presence on Steemit as well.
Yep, that's a good thing to do. Jerry Banfield did a thing like that as well. Those of you that are creating content on Steemit, good rule of thumb, have multiple platforms each supporting your message all the way around. And the message now can become what you have on Steemit. Then you go to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc., and kind of point back to it. Say, head over there. And also, the Russians were there in abundance. Just wonderful people there. And Xanax was there, my buddy from Moscow. And he was sharing ideas, had a great session, and just a wonderful time there that we got a chance with them. And a couple other lovely young ladies, Sophia and Anna here from Russia, talking about women and what women are doing and some of the channels they have. They're working on that. And I do want to talk with them more about that a little bit later and do a more extensive follow-up on what they had to say. Roland himself, let me make sure we get this out of the way so you can see it there. This is Roland himself, the master of ceremonies, and I was the other master of ceremonies for Room 2, and he's the one that spearheaded it, pioneered the whole thing, and put it all together. Just an outstanding man. Roland, cheers to you, and dank u wel, as you'd say there in Holland, thank you. We appreciate what you did and how you made that so good, both last year for SteemFest 1 in Amsterdam, and then SteemFest 2 this year in Lisbon. And number 3, next year, we'll excited to see what's going to happen on that.
Could you hold on that page just a second?
Sure.
What I'd like to point out, this was something very unusual in conferences. I don't think I've ever been to a conference that did this before, but Roland engineered it such that each day for the conference was essentially held at a different place. You know, we didn't get up and move hotels, but I don't think actually any of the events were held at the hotel. I say hotels because there were 3 hotels right together. European hotels are often smaller than what we're used to as the big giant American hotels. But so there were 3 hotels right together, so many of us were staying right there. So this is at a place called the Secret Spot in Lisbon, which was quite magical. You can see there's this huge garden, and you can't quite see all the water behind it. There may be some additional photos Terry's going to share of that. We're quite near the water, quite near the river, and Lisbon is quite near the Atlantic Ocean as well, which we will definitely see a few pictures of right now. But I just want to point out that we moved around the city. He had buses arranged to take us to these different places. And so we got to see a lot of Lisbon, a lot of the cultural sites. And I must admit, although at first I kind of had concerns about moving all around, it was good. The moving around forced you to network with people and talk with people. It also gave us an opportunity to see the city. And so I found that quite pleasant.
Yes, a wonderful time. And so, Roland, we really appreciate it, and thank you very much for all that you did to make this happen. And some more lovely pictures of the city, and this was an outstanding event also. Excuse me, Jerry Banfield doing stand-up comedy. His first time doing it, and we appreciate the courage that he had to get up there and do that. This was at another site that was off-site, but Jerry, thanks again for all you do for Steam It, and keep doing that good work. And here we saw Izzy and Exile, 2 folks that are marvelous in Steam It, doing a lot. You want to be sure and check out what they have to say and what they're doing on their posts as well. Giving us, of course, we had to give the thumbs up as we did this as well there. And Michael McKay was also the known as Molometer. He is a Steamian, a professor over at Cambridge. And he works a lot with video, did some recording. Here we are outside at one of the gatherings where we went off-site to enjoy more of Lisbon as we got out and moving around there, having a great time, fooling around, a couple of guys. And by the way, found out he is 4 days older than me. We were born the same year, same month, 4 days older than me. So he's the old guy in the picture there. We'll see that there. And here's another one with Xanax. We were sharing some wonderful beer. And by the way, notice the beer he's drinking there. It's the Sangras Mini. This is a good one here. Let me highlight that one for you. This is a good beer. And so it would get a good star from Terry as a great beer. If you get over to the Lisbon area, Portugal area, I would highly recommend that you take in that, see what it's like, and enjoy it, because they did a good job with it as well. And let's see, hold on, how come the slides aren't moving ahead here? We want our slides to move. Well, you know, it's fun when things act up a little bit here, but we'll come back over there and let's clear this out. There we are, clear, and the drawings are gone. And there we are. I'm going to stop sharing here and come back over. Why is our computer acting the way it is? I don't know, but there it is. We're back. And when the computer acts up like that, don't worry about it. What we do is we just try it again, and we go back into sharing our screen, and there we are. It's moving forward now, and let's go back in here. There we are. Okay, now there we go, with some fun there afterwards when it doesn't work. So we'll be able to share a lot. Lots of good people there hanging around. Matter of fact, including Jaime Danger, who's the creator of DTube. Wonderful person who has done so much for us, a good Frenchman programmer. And so we'll say merci beaucoup for all that you've done and continue to do, putting together DTube and giving us a platform that's really amazing on that.
Terry?
Yes.
Could I interject? Go back, please. What you're seeing here, the setting, you see these, if you look to the back, you see these pictures on the walls. And for those of you who aren't terribly familiar with Steam It is, again, basically a big blogging platform. And some people use text, they write. Some people share photos, some people share videos, and a lot of people share their artwork. And so this was an opportunity for people who are creative, who publish their art on Steemit, or who just otherwise do artwork, to submit their artwork to be part of this big art exhibition. This was they didn't do this the first year, they did this the second year. So this art exhibition, they found this place in a little street festival in Lisbon, and they put the artwork up around the walls. It was quite nice.
Yes, indeed. I hit the wrong button there. Yeah, but that was a lot of fun to see that happen and to see what was happening, and being with people around the world that were enjoying this and having a marvelous time with it. So we enjoyed that. It was part of the thing of working again with so many different people. We got a chance to enjoy the culture, to get out and see a lot that was going on, and to experience a lot of Lisbon as it is. The bridge there, I didn't know what that bridge was named, but it was a very prominent bridge in Lisbon there.
And you'll notice that it looks a lot like the Golden Gate Bridge, and we were told, but haven't verified, that it was the same architect, the same designer that created the design for that bridge as the one for the Golden Gate Bridge.
Exactly, and the beautiful scenery there from around Lisbon, a lot of different people enjoying it, and we wanted to give you a chance here to see some of it yourself if you haven't been there. Oh, and by the way, notice this right here. This, something that caught my eye, because I saw this, and it's the statue here. See that? With it looks like the statue of Jesus here, his arms out. We see a similar statue over in Rio de Janeiro. Very famous there. So I'm thinking, well, I wonder which one came first. I'm thinking the one in Portugal could have, but not sure of that. And whatever it was kind of amazing to see what is available and what they've done in different countries, that you see it from different areas. But as we look at what's out there, Gina, I wanted to ask you, as you got a chance to see so much of what was going on and the different people that were in Lisbon, what was your impression of Lisbon itself?
Beautiful. Certainly very historic. So I was told, again, I haven't verified, but someone said that it was the second oldest city behind Greece in, I don't know if that was the world or in all of Europe, certainly. I'm pretty sure they said it in Europe. And, just beautiful architecture. It was, a lot of park areas, a lot of monuments, beautiful old buildings. So I could definitely spend a lot of time there. It was just magical, really.
Yeah, I think magical.
The people were so nice, just very pleasant, and I love to hear them speak. It's Portuguese. It's a little bit like Italian, a little bit like Spanish, a little bit like French. It's it's kind of a combination of several different languages. So it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it really is a wonderful thing being there, and we really appreciate the people of Portugal taking us in there. As you can see us, we're having some great times talking with friends there. I'm with Annex again and talking, and here's with the beautiful and charming Alina, his sister, who is also from Russia and speaks Japanese and English, Japanese, Russian, an amazing lady. I'm glad to get a chance to know her as well. Here we are again with Sterling, and just having a great time. And here's one, a big shout out to Luke Stokes, and appreciate, Luke, all you're doing to help out us Steemians. Very nice to see you. Nice to be with you there and get a chance to catch up a little bit there extensively. The late night talks, the drinks, things like that, really, really good. Here's what the evening meal looked like, the final meal on Sunday night before all the folks came in. We were sat down there in 3 distinct rows and got a chance to talk with people, catch up with them, have a great time, including Heidi Travels. Heidi, hope you're doing well. Hello there. And about those of you watching this, if you haven't listened to her videos that are very helpful about learning crypto, traveling, etc., you definitely want to take a listen to what she has to say. Wonderful lady with a lot of good ideas on the whole world of crypto, not just in one particular area, but she's, of course, a big fan of Steemit and what's happening with that. Excuse me. And here's another one with Ned, another picture with Ned. Really good guy. He was very gracious to be there and help us all, and to make sure that we carry on the message of Steemit, and that we realize, okay, this is all for really the purpose of getting the word out more about Steemit. Excuse me. And here he was again going. Now afterwards, Gina, you and I got a chance to go over to the ocean, to the Atlantic Ocean. I particularly wanted to see the sun setting in the Atlantic Ocean. Because here in Florida, we get to watch it arise from the Atlantic Ocean, particularly if you're over in Lauderdale, Miami, Daytona Beach, around there, Jacksonville, you can see it there. But here we wanted to see the sun setting. So we saw beautiful scenery over there, and this was just gorgeous. The way that nature has crafted and molded this, thought it was good. A lot of shipping activity going on there as well. This was in the town, Gina, you'll have to help me on this, it was called Cascas or Cascas?
I think it's Cascais.
Cascais, I think you're right. Thank you. Cascais, and it's right on the Atlantic Ocean. Beautiful scenery there. As you can see down here, I just loved watching the water there and how it flows. You could tell Terry was a happy boy there, getting a chance to enjoy Cascais. Did I say that right? Cascais?
Yeah, and this area right here, it's famous. It's called the Inferno. Inferno's something other.
Yeah, very, very nice and just magnificent experience. I encourage you, if you ever get over to Portugal, swing by there and take a peek at it because it's real good. And here's our buddy, the sun, going into the Atlantic Ocean, not rising, but setting into it. Right there, some more lighthouses were out there, etc. And here's our old buddy. I forget what his name was. I think it was Clyde. Clyde, the bird, and he was just hanging around, enjoying. We're glad he came by just to say hello, to make sure we were doing fine. And Clyde did a good job there keeping track. As you can see, we were pretty happy doing the selfie there with the water behind us, seeing what's happening. Even got some people in the crowd that were nice enough to take a picture of us. Well, here's the sun going down a little farther. Gina getting a nice selfie. Always a fun thing to do. The sun going farther into the ocean. The sun going into the ocean with Terry getting a little bit dark view because we're shooting into the sun there. And there's Terry after the sun, I think, went down completely, or almost. Oh, there it is. It's almost going down. As you can see, pretty close to in the water. And then it goes down and it's out of sight. So that was a magnificent time, getting a chance to see it. And there's Clyde watching again, making sure everything's okay. I zoomed in a little bit more on Clyde. He did a good job that night and earned his paycheck, I think, for the work that he did to be there and help us out. But we saw that. And then finally, it was Antonio de Silva, if that's the way you pronounce it. And I don't know what the rest of it is because it's in Portuguese, of all things. They're in Portugal. But we can see they put up some kind of a sign to him and also to this person here, or this event for Anno 14 Sol Ambalanca, or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it was a wonderful time. And so it was a marvelous trip getting over to see Portugal, getting a chance to see SteemFest too. And we wanted to share this with you. Probably went a little bit longer than we had planned, but Gina, it was a marvelous trip. I'm glad you could join me. Thank you. For any closing remarks before we leave?
I'd just say that it was a fantastic time, and I was honored to share the stage with you there. And just such a joy to meet wonderful people from all around the world that are sharing. They're creative. They're sharing their life. They're sharing their passions, and that's what SteemIt is all about. And it's just a fantastic way to be able to get your message out into the world and make a little money or make a lot of money. Some people are making a lot of money. But the big thing is it's definitely a real sense of community, a worldwide international community of people who are making the world a better place. I know there's a trite phrase that's overused, but that is what's happening, and it's very exciting to be part of it. And thank you for introducing it to me.
You bet. Well, and for those of you who join us, thank you. We hope that you enjoyed this and some of our insights. We're going to do even more with some more of the content a little bit later. We want to put this out first to say, hey, it was a great event. Roland, thank you. Ned, thank you, and everyone that was involved with it. And we'll be in touch with you more. Matter of fact, have several interviews that we're looking forward to in the future as I work with people who are very well known and are doing a great job with SteemIt. We're going to do that. So on behalf of Gina, Carr, and myself, Terry Brock, we appreciate you joining us here with our SteemIt shirts on, and we will look forward to hearing from you.
Bye-bye.